Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you one more time in our dialogue program. Maybe somebody doesn't know that it's we established tradition weekly dialogue about discrimination. It means ICA Ukraine. It's non-government organization which represents 42 countries. It means ICA Africa. IAF Africa is Association of Facilitation, International Association of Facilitation in Africa. And we met each other in Africa and Tanzania and decided to organize dialogue. And we are here right now. We did it. And today it's the third dialogue. And topic of today's conversation, women in power. We are going to talk about representative of women in different countries. And let's move on and understand what happened with women in power. And let's start from introduction, self-introduction. And I want to ask everybody to spend 10 seconds to say your name, name of your organization, and your country, where you're from right now, or city. I am Svetlana Solomatova. I am still head of ICA Ukraine, and I'm in Ukraine. I'm in Kyiv, in capital of Ukraine right now. And we see John. John?
Okay, I'm John. I work for an organization called VSO Gitole. It deals with development through volunteerism. And I also represent IAF, International Association of Facilitators. And normally I'm in Kenya, but today, early in the morning, I arrived in Mumbai in India for a facilitation conference, which I'll be participating in. And I hope I don't fall asleep because I didn't sleep last night because I was traveling the whole night. But at the moment, I'm doing fine. So we have to have a lively discussion, so I stay awake. Eh?
Great. And we see Anastasia. Anastasia, please say a couple words about you.
1 minute. Hello. My name is Nastya. I'm from Kramatorsk, and I'm a journalist, and I'm active young woman.
And Nastya is Kramatorsk city, and city is on the east of Ukraine. A city where it's this city is very close to war right now in Ukraine. Thank you, Nastya, that you are with us today. And I see Yulia.
Hello, my name is Yulia. I am from Cherkasy, Ukraine, and I am head of Women Association Slavia and gender experts, trainer, and journalist. Thank you for this meeting. I think it will be very interesting for all of us.
Thank you, Yulia. Yulia, your English is very wonderful. Thank you, Yulia, that you are with us today. And it's very important to have experts in gender question or gender subject here with us, because I am not expert for sure. And we have Oksana. Oksana with us.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Oksana.
Yes, I'm Oksana. I'm journalist, and now I'm living in Poland, in Warsaw.
Thank you, Oksana. It seems like, guys, we today surrounded by journalists, John. And it seems like in a couple months you will be very well-known person in the world. Great. And we are ready to do it because we are ready to spread our activity, and we are ready to engage as much as possible people to our dialogue. And our goal, and I want to say people who see us on YouTube or who will have link on YouTube to our conversation, our program is not show, and we don't have full goal to provide professional picture or professional conversation. And we have a live conversation, and our goal, one of our goal targets, to create fluence of dialogue, because we believe that on the fluence, it's modern, I don't know, maybe modern style of management or modern style of engagement with people. John, are you right?
Mm-hmm.
And am I right? Maybe you have
yes,
different
yes,
goals.
Definitely. Yeah.
Maybe you have different goals.
I think dialogue is the key, you know, because that's part of the process, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, but at the same time we have dialogue not only for dialogue. We create fluence and we follow fluence, and we try to find rapper points and make our dialogue resultative. It means that we don't know what will be in the end of our activity, but we have a big hope that it will be a very useful result for people.
Yeah, so it leads to action. Yeah, I agree.
And thank you, John. And today's topic, unfortunately, I didn't involve in our last conversation because I opened a very big project in Ukraine, and I was in different other city, and we have big event when 200 people was involved in this event, and sorry I missed previous dialogue. And today's topic is very, very important for me personally. Because I don't know why, but in Ukraine, very rare percentages of people represent in Ukrainian parliament or Ukrainian government. John? John, would you share your experience?
Well, I lost the sound. Yes. I think Nancy has gone off, but you need to get her to introduce herself when she comes back.
Yes, she will come, and certainly I will give you. We will hear your voice. John?
Yeah, but no, I'm saying it looks like Nancy has gone off again. Eh?
Yeah, she will come, and we will hear your voice. John, why topic of women in parliament is part of discrimination? But I don't understand why is discrimination topic? Why the topic came from last conversation?
I mean, last week we were talking about gender-based discrimination. You know, one of the issues we were looking at was, you know, the representation of women in leadership positions, or let's say the underrepresentation in almost every country, with a few exceptions. And I can't remember who suggested it, but we all agreed that this would be a good topic for today, you know, to actually focus specifically on this issue.
Thank you, John.
Why is it part?
And I think I don't understand why this topic is very important for Ukraine. Yes, we have a small amount of women who represent Ukrainian women in Ukrainian parliament, but at the same time, I don't think that it is discrimination. I don't know who discriminates Ukrainian women. Maybe it's only our bishops. And Nancy with us right now. Nancy, could you say a couple words about yourself, because we lost you?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. We're having an issue with the internet here. So yeah, my name is Nancy Biwat. I work for Palladium Group, which is an international company, but my office is in Kenya, and I work with an Australian government program, and it's all about education and giving people from different African countries. My specific role here is as a social inclusion officer, and my role is just to make sure that persons with disability, women, people from rural areas, and any other groups, any other excluded groups also benefit from the scholarship awards that we offer here. The scholarships are from Australia, but they are offered to various countries in Africa, around 22 countries. Basically, that's my role, yeah, working with women, working with persons with disability, and those from rural areas, remote areas, and all that. I have also joined John's and Mariam's group, the facilitators, social inclusion facilitators, and our role there is just to train groups on social inclusion in general.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. John, and could you say openly to us what facts show us that women is under the discrimination in power?
Okay, you asked a question about Ukraine. I think some of the Ukrainians present should answer that.
No, I want
sure
to say, no, in general, I think in general.
In general, yeah, okay. I was going to say, I'm sure me and Nancy can talk about Kenya and some other countries, but the specific situation in Ukraine, I think maybe we can't say much. Why is it discrimination? Because, I mean, it's just a question of equal rights. If we believe that everybody, male or female, black or white, whichever religion, whichever age, whichever class, if as a starting point, if we believe everybody has the same rights as everybody else, then in any profession or any job or any position, you know, we need to get a sense that everybody is represented, you know. And clearly, if well, we can look at the figures, but clearly women are severely underrepresented all over the world. Some places worse than others, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, woman is everywhere woman. And let's see map. We have map, and thank you, John. You sent this map to us, and I want to ask Sergey to show a map of the screen. Map of representative women in parliament in different countries. And Sergey, мы можем эту карту посмотреть сейчас. And Sergey will show map, and let's ask everybody who in this room opinion about this map.
One moment, please.
And
okay.
and I understand at the same time that each country has specific of culture, certainly. And maybe I want to really ask Yulia, because Yulia knows a lot, and she is very, very active in non-government organization, and she joined different non-government women's organizations around herself. Yulia, could you say couple words about situation in Ukraine?
Тільки якщо можна, я тоді українською, щоб нічого не сплутати.
Ні, лучше по-англійськи.
Ну, я по-англійськи боюсь, що не змогу сказати.
Because Юля, мой английский точно такой же, как и твой, так что не переживай. Если что, поправим.
Okay, we have nearly 50% of women in Ukraine, but only 11% in our government, and it is one of the form of discrimination because our women can't to have a political power. And now we have a new law in Ukraine about a regional election, and in this election, which will be in autumn, in October, we have a quota to women, nearly, I think it is 30% for men or women in виборчих списках, як це?
Election list.
Yes, and it will be first experience with quota, gender quota in our country, and maybe it will be positive, and maybe we will have more women in our government, and maybe I think it will be very positive for women in Ukraine. Не знаю, было ли понятно, честно говоря.
John, do you understand?
Сергей показал на экран.
I have a question for Yulia. I didn't get it quite right. Is this just a regional parliament or the national parliament? And also,
11% in national parliament, 11% of
National-
women in national parliament, yes. And this law, it is about regional parliament, regional election in autumn, and this new law has a quota, gender quota. National law не имеет таких quota, doesn't have a gender quota.
a quota, 25% or a quota?
30%.
30%.
30%. Okay.
Yes.
Of men of
Now my question is, so my question is how will the process work? How will they make sure that you get 30%, at least 30% women?
Oh, it's very good question. John, I love your question very much. Thank you. You can.
You know, I'm asking a question. We have the same issue in Kenya at the moment. So I'd like to know.
John, it's very interesting process we have now in Ukraine. And could you imagine how many men are looking for right women? And now it's process. It's very interesting to understand and to see this process. Because men send different letters to different women's organizations and ask to give the list of right women to local governments. And we don't know this result, but for sure it's very interesting experiment for Ukraine. Yulia, did you get the invitation from men to be part of local government? Юль, ты получила приглашение? Нет?
Я не планирую,
No, I say about invitations. I don't say about planning to be part of local government.
But I want to help to women who wants.
You support this process of women. Yes, it's great. It seems like, John, we have advisor of future parliament, future deputy of parliament.
No, not really. I'm just interested to know how it will work. How will the country ensure that 30% is met? For example, if people don't vote for enough women, then what happens? You know, is there any positive discrimination?
Yulia, what do you think? What happened? What happened in Ukraine?
Посмотрим. We will see.
We will see. It's experiment. And from my life experience, I want to say that we will have a lot of pluses, and at the same time we will have a lot of minuses. And nobody knows what will be more, pluses or minuses. Because the role of women, men is, I don't know how to say in English, it's difficult to describe because my English is not very, very wide. But anyway, I think that the role of women to carry, like nature, role to carry social things. And maybe it's good for a Ukrainian parliament if 30% will be women's part, because nature, man is very strong to spend resources for own private interests, to grow up his man's part. And I think that women create balance, and role of women to keep balance between spend resources for private interests and spend resources for people. I think that women nature to focus on people, because men, from my life experience, usually look at the people as a resource for reaching own goal, private own goal. And women more social and think about people, about children, caring about environment. And I don't know what in Africa, maybe Nancy knows more about Kenya experience.
Hello?
Maybe Nancy, you can come. Nancy, you should come in there.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm losing. What was the question?
Question is about Kenya experience, representative 30% in parliament or local government. What happens if 30% will be in Kenya parliament?
In terms of representation, the number of women is quite low, especially in parliament. There's been a lot of effort to work on affirmative action, which is all about nominating women. Once the men have been elected, because most of them are men, affirmative action ensures that some women are nominated into these positions. But still, the situation, it's not yet 30%, even with the nominated women. So we've had a bit of controversy here on how we can ensure we get that 30% representation in parliament, in parliament and county government. And several options have been given about having the women who vied being nominated, about having a group of women from women organization being handpicked and being nominated. And some of the questions that have arisen from that are, how can we strengthen women from the grassroots, from the lower level, so that they are confident enough to vie for positions? And how will we support them? Because apart from, there are women who want to vie, but because of violence from men, they are intimidated and they don't vie. Yeah, so a lot of maybe voter education is needed on women and sort of electing women, but also for women to sort of step up to try for these positions, to be better leaders and to lobby for women equality in terms of policies, so that we have sort of a balanced representation. John, maybe you can add what I've missed. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that was coming to my mind, we're hoping to do a project where I work at VSO. We're writing a proposal at the moment. It's gone through the first stage, so we've been thinking a lot about this issue, because the project is aimed at increasing the numbers of women political representatives at the next election, which is the year after next, 2017. Yeah. So we're hoping to do a project for about 1 year. There's lots of different strategies, but one of them, we'd like to work with the traditional leadership, the religious leaders, the cultural leaders, most of whom are men, and many of them have quite negative views towards women in leadership positions. Not all of them, but we're hoping to take them through training on social inclusion to help them understand the value of gender equality for all of us, whether men or women. So we're being very positive about that and hoping that can be one strategy, so that because some of these guys, especially in rural areas here, they have a lot of influence, you know. If they say vote for this person, everybody will go and vote for them. So I think what we want to do is help them get to the understanding that society is better if we're all having our rights realized and we're all able to play equal part, you know. And that's one of the strategies, as well as, like Nancy says, you know, the broader education of the voters. Because there's a particular problem in Kenya, but I think it's in many countries, where, you know, it's like people don't take women seriously once they enter to a certain level, you know, and neither men nor women vote for them particularly, you know. And we need to get beyond that, so that people can see that, oh yeah, we can. We should be looking at people's qualities, not their gender, you know. But unfortunately, you know, it's very deep in everybody's mind that, you know, to be a leader means to be a man, you know. So we're quite stuck with that. And like I say, it's not just in Kenya. Where I come from in UK, the women's representation is not much better than Kenya, and there's some good countries like Rwanda is doing well, Seychelles is doing well, South Africa is doing quite well. So there are some good examples, but not enough yet.
And
Did
John,
I miss anything there?
John, I have a question to you. And how many women are in represent leadership in rural area in Kenya?
I don't have figures, but not many, and that's a big challenge.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to note that we've always had community elders for most communities. The elders are predominantly male. I think I'm yet to see community elders, though that is beginning to happen now. So I will say of them. Mostly it's been men leading the level. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. And we have a new visitor here, new participants. It's Nadia. I see this Nadia. Nadia, could you say a couple words about yourself? Say your name and your organization and where you're from. And could you switch your microphone because you're mute right now? No. You can. Nadia, там включите микрофон.
Okay. My name is Nadia. I'm from Chernivtsi. I'm a journalist. I'm activist of a couple of NGOs. One of them is the movement against sexism in politics, and I like to cover issues about gender and political participation of women in our political life, in local level, national level, and according to our topic, according to the representation of women in local governments, for example, local level, we have new amendment, we have new law. Yes, we have new law. Maybe you've talked already about this.
Yes, a little bit. Yes, really. And the same law has Kenya also. And we discussed about what influence of this law will be in a couple of years, or maybe a little bit later.
According to experts, this 30% is very they can influence in the political agenda, because of this 30% they can it won't be only formal thing, because as we know, many governments, for example in Kyrgyzstan, as if I don't make a mistake, they have also this kind of quota, but after being elected, women just resigned and they give their mandates to men, and that's why it's only formal quota. And in Ukraine also we have formal quota, because no restrictions for parties who are not fulfill this quota. They can in any case they can propose their party list for elections, and they will not have any restrictions for not obeying to this quota principle in their list. And as I know, in Rwanda there are more than 60% of women in government national level. And in Ukraine, for having such kind of representation of women, I think we have to pass through a long-term period of establishing, of understanding that women, they could be politicians, they could represent the communities in local or national level, and this quota, when it will be some restrictions in law. So, for example, if party doesn't fulfill this this thing about 30% in party list, they shouldn't be registered by election commission, and only in this case, I think, and if and we have to also have this, for example, in each 5 in each 5 persons should be at least 30% of one gender. Not to tell all 30%, you can put them in the far away from the good part of the list. And if we will have this restriction and restriction that you will be punished if you will not fulfill this quota principle, I think that this will be a real representation of women in government, and it could reverse this understanding of women in politics. Yes. And when young women, girls, boys, men will see that there are a lot of women in authorities, in parliaments, in local councils, they will change their. I think they will change their traditional stereotypes about the place of women, which we have in our. Mostly in our society now.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's so interesting because the law seems to be very similar. Because in 2010 we passed a new constitution in Kenya, which says there must be in all, not just in politics, but in all leadership positions, in all public committees, etc. There must be at least 1/3 of both genders, you know, and that's very good, but it's not been achieved in the national parliament. In the local parliaments, we have counties, we have 47 counties, and they each have an assembly or their own parliament, and it has been achieved there, but only because they've actually topped up the seats, you know. So they've had the election, and then they've worked out, in order for there to be at least 1/3 women, how many extra seats do they need to have. So in each place, they've added some extra seats, which are specifically for women, because women are underrepresented. But they haven't done that at national level, and we've had we're very close to having a constitutional crisis actually next week, because the deadline is up, because the national government was, the national parliament was given a period of time up to August, end of August this year, to work out how it was going to achieve that constitutional requirement. There are some people who are saying that if that 1/3 is not achieved, then they will go to court and say that Parliament is unconstitutional and therefore should be disbanded. So there are some people saying that. There are others coming up with various different ideas around how it can be done. But for me, the problem is that they've kind of ignored the issue for a few years, for 5 years in fact, since we've had the constitution. And it's only now that they're close to the deadline that everybody's saying, oh, we have to do something, we have to do something, which says to me that it's not a priority, you know, especially at the high level. We've seen examples of where the president can come with a very strong influence and make sure that certain laws are passed. So, you know, I'm feeling that if the political will was there at the top level, then, you know,
We lost John. We don't hear his voice. Nancy,
Yeah.
We're here. And
I think
John's here. Okay, then we hear you, John.
Welcome back.
You come back, yes.
So Nancy, I've been talking in detail about the 1/3 issue that we're struggling with.
Yeah, I got a bit
and
of that.
I'm really wondering what will happen, you know. But I think the problem is that you know, you don't need these laws if people have the will to create that change. But if there's not much will there, then even having a law is not enough because it's not being enforced, you know. So I'm very interested to see what happens in Ukraine. You know, if this law has just been passed, you know, and I wonder how easy or difficult it will be to implement it. You know.
Yes. John, it's a very interesting question for me. It's main question for me. How men will look in ways to reach agreement with women. It's very interesting process. How it happens.
Well, yeah, and I think the issue is deeper, you know, because it's about, you know, what we believe, what we've grown up with, what we were socialized with, and you know, some of those things take a long time to change. You know, you can bring a great law, but it doesn't change people's behavior and their attitudes. You know, not as easily. Yeah?
And then, John, from real situation in Ukraine right now, for example, for sure, a couple my girlfriends, get invitation from not less than 3 Ukrainian political parties to be part of election.
Wow, that's nice. So they're in demand, eh?
Yes, and everybody said no, no, and even me got this invitation, and I said yes. But why I said yes?
You did?
Because
Okay.
yes, why I said yes? Because I'm sure that this political party never will include me in this list. Because I am very honest and I am very directly to people. I don't follow diplomatic way because we have war in Ukraine. We don't have time for diplomacy, and we don't have time to play with people.
Can I ask a question to anybody in Ukraine? The experience of Tymoshenko. I don't want to get into the details of, you know, people's support for her or not support, but I'm interested to know if the experience of what happened with Yulia Tymoshenko, if that's been good for women in leadership in Ukraine, or if it's actually had a bad impact. You know, because that was very significant, what happened, and to see a woman at that level was quite inspiring for some of us. But I know the issue is not as simple as that. But to give an example from my own experience, in UK we had a female prime minister some years ago, which was Margaret Thatcher, and in many ways she was very damaging for the country, you know, in terms of our social system and our welfare system. So there was a lot of negative impact for women as well as men. But the good side is that at least now everybody knows that, yes, it's okay, we can have a female prime minister, you know, it's possible. Some of the smaller parties have female leaders. The main parties, none of them have a female leader, but the smaller ones, they do. So I'm just wondering the impact on politics from that experience.
I never heard before you say that the influence or impact of Margaret Thatcher was negative for.
Very negative.
You're first person which whom I hear it.
No, she was a very extreme capitalist, very right wing, very racist, a very you know, nationalist in an extremist way. She damaged a lot of the social welfare system. She really was somebody who said, you know, it's okay if you have a society where some people can tread on other people. There's no problem. That's normal, you know. So she really challenged the values, you know, of the country in a negative way, I think.
It's very interesting to hear our journalist opinion.
If you're addressing to me, so I think that Tymoshenko is not, she wasn't accepted as woman, she was accepted as politician, So even then she was prosecuted. It was accepted as prosecuted politician. So I'm not sure that this kind of faith is this kind of way of this politician have some kind of influence on women to be or not to be a politician. Yes, of course, during her prime minister time, of course, it influenced a lot on political agenda setting, economical, etc. And it's not very one-side opinion about this period, because there were a lot of questions to her as she was prime minister. But as for me, she was accepted only as politician. Yes, there was a lot of fans of her, as she was like first woman who was on such high position in on national level in Ukraine, but it wasn't accepted as like gender, some kind of gender equality or gender issue.
Okay.
Now we have, as for me, now I think the situation will change, because we have the higher level of the representation of women in our parliament. It's more than 11%, and we will have, I'm sure, we will have a lot of women in our local councils, and maybe we will have some kind of new quality of policy because of these changes. I think so. But now, as we will see the story of this political leader, we see that now her star is fallen, because we've mentioned it during the elections. Then her results were very low during last parliament elections about Tymoshenko, if we are talking about Tymoshenko. But it doesn't mean the people didn't support her as woman. People didn't support her political figure and her party. So and as for me, these days I prepared the reportage about our local political parties, how they will manage with this requirement of this quota. And one of the representatives of our parliamentary party, National Front, he is the chief of our parliamentary fraction in our parliament, and he said that I don't know, it will be very difficult, because women don't want to go to the local councils, because politics isn't people lost faith into politics, into politicians. And we have our local councils, local deputies. They are not paid for their job, and so we will, as this leader said, we will have a lot of problems with making this list. But on the other hand, if we are talking with Batkivshchina, our local Batkivshchina, they tell that, oh, it will be okay for us because our leader is a woman, and it will be okay for us to make a list with women because they have their.
I'm sorry, Nadia, Batkivshchina is for John. Batkivshchina is party of Yulia Tymoshenko.
Yes. So, and the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the same situation is with radical party of Leshko. it's also a parliamentary party. Here in our local level, they have almost in every district in Chernivtsi, the leader of district cell of this party is are women. So they also said that they will not have problems. But we will see. I think the situation will change after these elections. We will have about gender balance.
Thank you, Nadia.
I think that's it's very important that you're saying that, you know, women get seen as politicians, they get judged for whether they're good politicians or not, and I think that's the point we have to get to. The struggle is when there are very few, everybody says, oh, this woman leader, you know, they don't talk about this man leader, you know. I can say the same in UK. We've got a few black politicians, but not so many, and they're often seen as, you know, this person represents all black people, you know, and yet men are not expected to represent all men, you know. So, but anyway, that sounds good. I don't know. I wanted to ask Nancy, you know, how do you feel about the impact of the female politicians we've had in Kenya, you know, in terms of kind of changing that debate?
Oh, in terms of the impact of the female politicians?
Yeah, the politicians we've had. Yeah.
I think for Njoki Ndung'u, she stood out the most. That's one of our female politicians, and she passed a policy on sexual violence, because it was really becoming an issue in Kenya, issues of rape and sexual violence. And she became the most famous because of passing a bill that will benefit both women and men in the country in terms of sexual violence and abuse. So for me, Njoki Ndung'u really stood out. We have had a couple like Martha Karua. She's a very strong leader, but in terms of policies, I'm not so sure about policies, but generally I will say they haven't been very visible or very vocal in general, but we've had a few who've stood out. I think in terms of women in leadership, the ones who've really stood out are the ones in civil society. They're the women we've known for pushing agendas to support women and other vulnerable groups.
Nancy, and you said previously about that you provide education for women in the rural area, and your education is about leadership or other way?
Oh yeah, it's master's level, and master's level, PhD level, and short course. And I will say there's a really serious barrier we've had in reaching women or even men and women in rural areas, because first of all, lack of access to information. Secondly, these scholarships, you have to apply them online, and we don't have internet access in all parts of Kenya. Like in rural areas, internet is very expensive, it's hard to access. So we've tried to reach people in all regions of Kenya, but I will say 80% of the scholarships go to people in the cities or in the big towns. Yeah, so that has been a challenge we have been working through and looking at, can we accept hard copy applications? And that is possible, but the problem is even the information about the scholarship might not get to people in rural areas.
Thank you. And maybe somebody from our participants knows subjects or university or school which we can get knowledge about government thinking. Because I think that we have problem in Ukraine. Yeah. For example, that we have very small amount of people in Ukrainian government who has government thinking. And it seems like it's different. Political thinking is separate from government thinking. Maybe that's why we have this problem in Ukraine. We don't have people in our parliament. It doesn't matter if it's women or men. But I don't know any university which teach this subject.
But I want to say that in context of gender studies and anti-discrimination, we have a course in university for journalists, for media, for маркетолога, така.
Marketing.
For marketing, yes, and for another students, and I think it's very well. And I want to show some diagrams. It's Ukrainian. You can see Ukrainian laws about gender. One of them about anti-discrimination policy in Ukraine. One of them about gender equality. Сергей показывает, да? Я не вижу. Да. And one of them is national program for gender equality. It's Ukrainian. So we have a good legislation in Ukraine in gender context. And also I want to show some diagrams. Сергей, покажи, пожалуйста.
Thank you.
Yes.
Discrimination subject is covered of Ukrainian law, yes? And nobody knows how it works in our lives.
I want to show real statistic in our national parliament. Но я ее не вижу. Ты показываешь, Сергей?
Нет. We don't see.
Ага.
Показываю.
Just a moment, please. Ну, ми її видимо.
Зафіксуй просто цю законницю. Зафіксуй трошки.
While we're waiting, I'd like to hear from Oksana. Oksana, you're very quiet today.
Yes.
What's your thoughts, please?
And Oksana is journalist also, and Yulia is journalist, and Nadia is journalist, and we have so many informative people today.
Yeah, so many. It's true, yes, and everything okay. Actually, I have some problem with sound, and that's why I'm so quality today.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
but we're hearing you well now.
No, it's okay. It's very interesting, and I don't know what to say actually.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm here. I'm with you, and I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. That's the main thing, yeah?
Okay.
Oksana, what do you think about the role of women in power? Give your opinion or your own opinion.
I don't know. It's very. I know it's very hard question actually for me. I think that if women feel that she can, I don't know how it's say, if she feel that she can do good things, yeah, in the power, it's a good choice, but I'm not sure that it's place for women. It's my mind. Not good place for women. Actually, in Ukraine, because politica in Ukraine it's very
dirty.
Very dirty. Very dirty.
And what about in Kenya? Politica in Kenya is clear? Or UK?
Yeah, I think everyone sees politics as dirty because power is seen as very serious, and people are seen to take advantage because it's all about resources. So it's always seen all over the world as a dirty game. But what if women could change the perception of politics? What if that is what is needed to change all this unequal allocation of resources that we are seeing all over the world? That's what I wonder. And I find it very interesting what she mentioned about women politicians being seen as politicians and not as women. Because do you think we put a lot of pressure on women politicians who are supposed do we expect a lot more of them than from male politicians? I think that is something to think about because we see them as women politicians. We don't see them as politicians. Yeah, but I definitely, for this case of Kenya and maybe even Africa, I think it's very important to have that diversity in our parliaments and in leadership, dirty though it is. Yeah, so that we can just have that voice from women and that representation. And not only women, but other diverse groups, like people with disability and all that. I think it will ensure everyone's voice is heard.
Thank you, Nancy. And I have a question to everybody. Maybe we can do something together to clean our political environment a little bit. Maybe we can work like laundromat. I don't know. And maybe somebody knows ways how to clean it or how to keep in balance. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, one way is to go to the parliament to conquer for some place in parliament, try to change the system inside the system. Another way, as civil society does, is to influence, to propose, change it through some companies, through advocacy, etc. And other ways journalists do, yes, to write about the ways of good governance and government thinking, as you told about this, and to teach, to promote this governance thinking, and it will be quite enough for changing minds.
Thank you, Nadia. And now, Yulia, show your graph.
Yeah, this diagram about real situation in Ukraine. It's a level of men and women in Ukrainian national government during. You can see man is blue and women is red, and from 3% to 11% in our parliament now.
Okay, now we understand cause of corruption in Ukraine. And I think that if women's representative will grow a little bit, maybe we'll reduce corruption. Maybe.
If these women will not be corrupted.
Yes, of course. It's women. It's addressed to John because about Yulia Tymoshenko, and she had great great chance to change Ukraine for sure, but she didn't do it because I think that she really deeply, if we dive deeply to her thinking, I think that she doesn't have until now government thinking. She doesn't understand the role of leader, and she understands the role of women in country. And unfortunately, we don't have institution of first lady in Ukraine. I don't know, maybe Kenya has this institution of first lady, but in Ukraine for sure we don't have this institution. And I think it's one of the causes of disbalance in Ukraine also.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that the system of, I'd like to say, so-called democracy, because it's based on a Western model of electing a few individuals and one person at the top. Maybe there's a fundamental problem that we need to look at how we govern ourselves, how we always have this great hope in one person. Recently we had Obama visiting Kenya, which was a great event, but I started thinking, is it just about Obama as an individual, or is it about the society as a whole? And I think maybe I don't want to go back to the collective Soviet system, eh? I said that to be provocative, eh? But I think I'd like to see a situation where we try and practice some of the good aspects of working as a team, working collectively. So it's not just about one individual, whether they're a man or a woman. It's about all of us together being responsible for managing ourselves, our communities, our towns, our countries. So maybe it's not enough just to say we want this number of women or we want this number of people from different groups in different positions, but actually we want a system where everybody feels that they're able to contribute, to participate. It's not a remote system. At the moment, it's a remote system. You know, you vote every 5 years, and that's it. And they call that democracy. You know, and actually, democracy is really about people participating in their, you know, in the day-to-day lives, having a say on how things are organized in society and in their communities. And I think most countries are a long way from that, you know. There was a book written once by the former mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, and it was called "If Voting Changed Anything, They Would Abolish It." You know, and basically what he was saying is that actually just voting is not really enough. You know, we need to do much more than that. And he was also saying that actually the people who hold the real power, they don't go anywhere. Whether you vote or you don't vote, it's still the same people who really, the power behind the power, you know. And I think that's true in most countries, you know.
Yes, John, I agree with you. I totally agree. And I agree with you that about we must find ways to good cooperation, and maybe I think that we must find ways for to keep balance between men and women, because if we look at the family, and if the family has balance and environment, this family creates a very special environment around themselves. And I think that if our political system will find balance, and maybe now we try to do it, but it's a good sign that we try to do it. And unfortunately, we have bloody way for this, and Kenya and Ukraine have bloody way for reach this balance. And I don't know, but what I want to say about let's pay attention to themselves personally, clean your feeling, clean your heart, clean your think, and let's find way for productive cooperation. Productive, I mean, as a result of this cooperation, people must feel this result, and we must be more useful for people, I think.
I think time is up.
Yes, time is up. Yes, time is up, and let's meet next week.
Can we do a quick, just a quick last comment from everybody?
Yes, of course. Quick absorb, and John, you're welcome.
You want me to start? Okay. All I can say is I've kept very awake during this conversation, so that's a good sign. But I feel like we're just starting. You know, there's so much to discuss here, but it's very useful to me to hear about the examples from Ukraine, and it suggests that this is a very important discussion, and I hope we can support each other. It's been good having Oksana, who's our regular, and Svitlana obviously is our regular, but it's good to have you on board, Nancy, and also Yulia and Nadia. So I think that's really good. I'd like to see some more men involved in the importance of women's issues, you know, and that's always a struggle. But I'm very happy with the group that we have and the kind of discussions we've been having.
Thank you, Yulia.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you.
Yulia says thank you very shortly. And what about Oksana?
Thank you, everybody, and see you next week.
Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Bye.
Yeah, I agree with John. I feel like we barely scratched the surface of this discussion. It's very interesting, and hopefully we'll be able to delve deeper in this next time we meet. And it's been really nice to engage with you virtually. Yeah, till next week.
Thank you, Nancy. And today I've discovered a couple of very important things for me. that Kenya and Ukraine are really similar. That's why maybe we are very close to vote rating in map which we saw today. And it seems like we are right people, and together maybe we will really dive deeply to this subject and look in a little bit more. I don't know what we are looking for, but anyway, we must talk a little bit more deeply and find something interesting together, or discover something interesting together. Okay, and see you next week.
See you.
Yeah. All right, John. Yes, we need to develop the Kenya-Ukraine relationship. Yes, I agree with you. And after my coming from Africa, my message to all Ukrainians: each Ukrainian must go to Africa and come back. And you are welcome, John and Nancy, to Ukraine. And I think you will be discovering a great country and great people, and you will learn, and you will see on your country other eyes, like me. See my country other eyes right now. And thank you for coming. Thank you for participation, John.
Thank you so much,
Nancy, thank you very much. And Yulia and Oksana, Sergey, thank you, Media IC, for technical support. Thank you very much, and see you next week. Thank you, Sergey.
Bye. Thank you.